Morning, everyone. It is 10 o'clock. My name is John Martin. I'm the chairman of the County Development Committee, and I call that committee's meeting of May 17th to order. Ask first, please, that the clerk call the roll.
Brown,
Brown here.
Berman,
Berman here.
Ford, Iqbal,
Iqbal, yes. Iqbal present.
Kenyon here.
Winnicki,
Present.
Braz.
Here.
Caius,
Caius present.
Pirog, Shepro.
Shepro present.
You have a quorum.
Thank you. The minutes for the 15th and the 19th are deferred until the next regular meeting. My monthly financials are in your packet for your review. Do we have public comment today of any kind? I see none. I have no notice of, I take that back.
I think they're here to speak.
Okay, I think if you are making comments relative to a specific, particular petition, we'll defer until that point in time. If you have anything otherwise, raise your hand now or forever hold your peace. Okay, thank you. Mr. Van Kerkhoff.
Good morning. I'm Mark Van Kerkhoff, Director of Development Community Services. Building and zoning report. Things are picking up. We're busy in the spring. Lots of people do home improvement projects, decks, swimming pools, outbuildings, sheds. So things are picking up. We have some large homes also under construction. And the latest building in the Mill Creek Village Center is progressing nicely, and our inspectors are out doing regular visits and inspections on that. We're also working on finalizing some changes to our City View permitting system. We're sort of in the testing phase, validation phase of that for a switch over in the fall. And that will all lead up to having a portal for people to utilize for submitting their applications and checking on them electronically. Currently, we're doing that via email and electronic payments, but this will even make that, one step further to be easier, particularly for our repeat contractor customers. With that, I'm happy to answer any questions.
Are there any questions of Mr. Van Kerkhoff?
Shepro.
Mr. Shepro.
Mark, just generally, how has the foot traffic from the public been compared to sort of pre-COVID, now that most of our restrictions have been lifted?
Sure, that's a great question. So pre-COVID, it's probably about, for building permit traffic, probably about 25% of what it was. For zoning, land use and other type questions, it's probably about 50%. When we initially reopened back at the end of 2021 with regular office hours, we were getting about 1.5 people per day. We're currently, easily getting 3 or 4. A lot of our special event permits that we're handling, a lot of those folks come in person. So, we're definitely seeing a return to coming into the office to see us.
But it would appear that it still is substantially lower than it was beforehand. Is that because we think that people are finding that it's just, they're learning how to do things online or over the phone and so forth?
Yeah, well, definitely the online permit application and payment process for, 75% of our permits, they love it. I mean, before COVID, we made them come here to pay and pick up their permits, and they really appreciate that. The contractors in particular, what they save in time and travel, to be able to do that is greatly appreciated by them. And even, when we have one-off, permits by homeowners, they also appreciate that because they can submit an application from their home during the evening when they're not working. They can make the payment in the evening. They don't have to take, time off of work to try to come in during our business hours. But those who come in for special assistance and questions, find that very helpful.
Thank you. That's just very encouraging to hear.
Anything else of Mr. Van Kerkhoff? And let's proceed to zoning petitions, the first being 4592. I should say, as we begin, I'm assuming that all speakers are here to address questions or issues as they arise. If in fact you want to make a presentation before your matter is discussed, let us know. Thank you. Go ahead.
Good. Good morning. The first petition this morning is number 4592, Ryan Rogerson, Faith and Grace Family Farm. They're requesting rezoning on a portion of property from F1 district rural resident, or to F1 rural residential and F2 district for agriculture related sales, servicing, processing, research, warehousing, and marketing with a special use for an event venue. This is the two subject areas on the 2040 plan. It is in an area planned for agriculture. You can see the village of Big Rock a little bit to the east and again a little bit to the west. Here it is on the zoning map. Again, you can see it's area primarily zoned for agriculture, everything that's white. Red striping is in the village of Big Rock, and then we have a couple of other F1s along Wheeler Road. Here it is on the aerial. I can see vast area of farmed area and then the other farmsteads and F1 residential uses along Wheeler Road. So here's a little bit close up of the existing parcel and a little bit more of a close up. You can see there is an existing house in the northwest corner. That'd be the F1 zoning for the residential use. The balance of it would be F2 for the event venue. There's existing structures on the property and existing driveways and areas that will all be maintained and used for the venue. Here is the plat of survey for zoning purposes, again showing the F1 and the area for F2. This is their proposed site plan in order to accommodate parking during the event venue season. They would have parking in the grass area to the west of the driveway. It does have a long driveway off of Wheeler Road, which is suitable for people coming and going without backing up onto Wheeler Road, and the easy walking to the different event venues. They have three buildings that be primarily used for the events. First one, Alpha area, maximum capacity of 250 and here's a layout for the structure. Here's a photo of the existing structure with the large overhead door. Some of the things that they would be looking to do for improvements to the building for the events. Second building, Bravo, smaller capacity, about 110. Their conceptual layout for that building. And there's some photos of that existing structure. And then Charlie building, somewhere in between, a maximum capacity of 150. And this is a more open air, three-sided agricultural structure that they would be converting for the events. Within their petitions, they gave photos to give a clear, vision of how the events would be used for outdoor weddings, how the buildings would be improved, and how the site would work, including a bridal suite, future catering building, future bathrooms. In the short term, they would have the bathroom trailers. Some other F2 venue events use similar facilities instead of the standalone porta johns. They're kind of a step up in use. Staff recommendations. Water Resources Department had comments in terms of if there's an increase in the impervious area. A lot of the buildings and impervious areas are already existing. Division of Transportation, one stipulation was to dedicate 33-foot half right-of-way. My understanding is the petitioner is in discussions with KDOT about reducing the width of the dedication to reflect the prescriptive right-of-way. There's quite an extensive fence in some of the area that would be in that 33-foot that's currently in being farmed, and they're looking to maybe have a 27 plus or minus foot dedication and then a highway easement. So I'm sure we'll have that sorted out before it goes to the full board meeting. Other stipulations, they want to have a traffic impact study to review within 3 years of the zoning changes to evaluate various site events, frequency, and ingress egress timing. Their other recommended stipulation was that they would widen the access drive to 22 feet for a minimum of 100 feet onto the property. Again, that's for traffic passing in and out, so there's not a spillover onto Wheeler Road. And finally, the health department had a number of stipulations regarding food permits, catering companies, septic system to be evaluated for the max guest capacity, and that they may need to have a non-community well arrangement. Staff recommended findings of fact that the rezoning would create a residential parcel for the existing home separate from the event venue. And the F2 would be, that's been proposed here is similar to other farm-paced event venues that we have. This was not applicable for the Regional Planning Commission. Zoning Board of Appeals recommended approval with the recommended stipulations. It's before you this morning. There's quite a contingent from the group proposing the venue here. I think they have a representative who wants to make a few comments, but I'm also, staff's happy to answer any questions at this point as well.
Thanks. Let's entertain a motion first, and then Mr. Kenyon moves. Mr. Fries seconds. Speaker.
Good morning. My name is Carrie Hansen. I'm the Director of Planning and Government Services for Shoppy Design Associates, located at 126 South Main in Oswego. Here on behalf of the petitioners, Faith and Grace Family Farm. Mark covered pretty much everything. I did want to go into a little bit more detail of our conversations with KDOT regarding the 33-foot right-of-way dedication. I did speak with Keith McGraw and sent him to consider the compromise proposal, which is to dedicate the area and the prescriptive easement, and then for the balance to the 33 feet to be handled in an easement for highway purposes. As Mark indicated, there is an extensive split rail fence along the frontage of the property, which is right at the edge of the prescriptive easement. And then the farming begins immediately on the north side of that fence and would result in a loss of approximately 6,000 square feet of crop area. So we felt that the suggestion to do this combination certainly allowed us to continue to utilize the property in its current form. We have also spoken with Wade Thompson, the Big Rock Township Highway Commissioner, who has indicated that he has no problems actually with the current situation, and likewise would not have any issues if we went ahead with the compromise proposal on the right-of-way dedication. We do have representatives of the Rogerson and Wagner families here to answer any questions that you might have about specific operations. We have no issues with any of the other stipulations requested by any of the departments, and we would respectfully request your favorable response to our petition. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Fries.
Yeah, this looks great. The site plan looks really good. You got parking, the presentation and the plans all look really great, the way you're going to fix the buildings up. I would say my only question or concern is related to amplified music. I know the one building was kind of open-sided on one side. Is there going to be any scenario where a band would set up outside of the buildings? we've had, I actually live by an event, or event place like this, and you can hear the music for about 1.5 miles on a good night.
You get to enjoy it.
Hi, all. My name is Carrie Rogerson. We live at 46W 428 Wheeler Road in Sugar Grove. When it comes to music, as you can see in the F1 zoning, that is our home. There are quite a few of us living in the home, so we are in fact our closest neighbors. Our closest neighbors to the west are 1,250 feet from us, and we have spoken with them, and they are our largest supporters. They are actually very excited about what we are doing. The way that the sound travels out there, generally speaking, they are starting to plant right now. The wedding seasons go from April to November generally. And thankful for us, a majority of the time there will be crop between us that will serve as a very large barrier of sound. The way that our farmer farms, he does 2 years of corn and 1 year of beans. And we are really expecting that to cut down the sound as well.
So to answer my question, will there be outdoor?
Oh, I'm sorry. When it comes to music, we intend on having the DJs and the bands inside.
Inside, okay. Because like I said, we can't count on crops as a sound barrier.
Yeah.
And like I said, amplified music outdoors can go well over that 1,200 feet, so.
Yeah, we're gonna do our best to make sure that that all of the sound equipment is angled in a way to eliminate any issues with neighbors.
Okay, that'd be my advice is, that's the one thing that could come back and bite us all.
Yep.
So, thank you.
Mr. Berman.
Berman here. What was the amount of parking, number of parking spaces? Was there a number on that?
Yeah, there's 125, and actually, I'm glad you brought that up. That is the county's requirement for assembly is 1 for every 2 people. The maximum capacity of this site, regardless of the capacity of each of the individual buildings, is going to be 250 people at any one time.
Very
So
good.
e-
That was my second question.
Okay,
the
good.
capacity. Okay, very good. I'm
Barb?
concerned, we have something larger than that with some of the things we've seen in the past with thousands of people coming or some kind of thing. So
Woodstock.
Yes.
at Woodstock, yeah.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, we would be agreeing to that stipulation as part of the special use approval. If for some reason it becomes wildly successful and there's pressure for it, we can't exceed that without coming back to you and revising that special use permit.
Thank you, John. Mark, there was something up there about the wells and it just kind of, we went through it pretty quickly. Will they have to increase maybe their well pump for a larger capacity? I don't know how many
They might
wells
be.
are.
This requirement comes up quite often whenever there's a public use of a site. It's actually a state of Illinois requirement for a community well status. It just means they have to have that specifically registered with the state, and there's a testing protocol. When there's more than, I don't remember the exact number that triggers it, but it has to do with the number of people who would be drinking from the well over a specific period of time. It's just a way of protecting public health and having the well tested periodically.
So the state of Illinois has given the go-ahead already? Is that how?
No, it's something that they would do when they reach that capacity. They work with our own county health department. But with these petitions, Aaron Rusher with our health department does a good job of making petitioners aware that this will be a requirement that they have to do. And then we add that in as a stipulation to also clarify that.
I mean, I'm in favor of the project. It looks like a really good project, but when you're talking about serving water to 250 people and the dishwashers and the bathrooms will be separate. They'll be their own trailered type enclosed bathrooms, but so that might be, I don't know, that seems like an issue to me, but
Yeah, it's less of a capacity thing as a public safety thing to have the water tested.
like how often then tested? by
Aaron Rusher's not here this morning. I'm not sure the specifics on how often it's
Okay,
tested.
yeah.
Just a point of clarification. There will be no food service on the property, no food prep on the property.
Now that makes a difference.
It makes a big, yeah,
Okay,
and that,
yeah.
if that helps, I'm glad.
Uh-huh.
Everything will be brought in off-site. They'll have prep areas, but there will not be any food prep occurring on the premises.
Okay, I'm glad you said that, Anna. Thank you.
Mr. Caius?
Yeah, Caius, that was the question I had was about the water and I know you had a prep building for the food. So you won't be cooking anything or preparing it there other than just prepping. It says right in there, and that was the question I had about the water. They may need to become a non-community well system site if they meet this definition, transient non-community public water system. A system that regularly serves an average of 25 persons daily for any 60 days out of the year. So it sounds like what you're asking for is well above what that definition on page 43 in your slides, page 43.
I think it's, my understanding in talking to the health department, and staff has been incredibly helpful, by the way, in trying to explain this to a layperson, is that it's cumulative throughout the year. It's averaged. So they would have to look at the frequency of the events, if there's one or two a week for 5 months, does that translate then to the 25 persons daily for 60 days? So there's a formula, I'm assuming, that they use, excuse me, to evaluate that. Whatever that is, if we are required to supplement that in any way, we have no objection to doing that.
Sounds great.
They'd probably be thrilled to death if they had 250 people a day. Mr. Kenyon?
It appears you've done a lot of planning and I wish you good luck.
Thank you.
Thank
I
you.
think it's just kind of thing we need out here. It's bringing business out to Kane County.
We hope so.
I have a question. I just want to make sure that I and the committee understand. There's this discussion of the easement and the 30-foot ride dedication. Are we in accord with the applicant on that as we stand? Can we
I'll
have
defer
that
that
discussed
to
and
KDOT. That's something that they would work out with KDOT.
far enough to the right?
I will say I'm not involved in that, so I'm not as familiar with it at this time, but I know that we've done these kind of things in the past, so I'm sure it's on the way, but we can get back to you and let you know for sure. I'll
Okay,
ask
but
when
it's
I get
not
back.
an obstacle to,
I don't see it as being an obstacle, no, particularly if the township supervisor was agreeing, or the highway commissioner, as you said.
okay, thank you, thank you. Any other questions or comments? Mr. Ford?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I think it's a great project. I like the way it looks, the layout, it's been well thought out. And I guess I'm a person who love live music, but if there is an issue with sound, I could see space in the future where you can do some landscaping to try to help reduce that if that's possible. But other than that, it's something great to see. So I'm looking forward to see how well it works out.
Yeah, call me when you're square dancing out there.
We'll do that one
Let's-
first.
Looks like it's going to be a close vote, so would the clerk please, if there's no further questions, would the clerk please call the roll?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes,
yeah, this is Mo Iqbal.
yes, sir.
Are we voting on the stipulation as stated or any other modification that has not been written down?
What we're voting on is what is stated in the application or on this agenda.
Okay, great, thank you.
Clerk, please call the roll.
Berman,
Berman, yes.
Brown, yes.
Ford,
Ford, yes.
Iqbal,
Iqbal, yes.
Kenyon,
Yes.
Wonicky,
Yes.
Braz,
Raj, yes.
Caius,
Yes.
Martin.
Martin, yes.
Yes.
Motion carries. Congratulations, folks.
Thank you very much.
Petition 4591.
Great, thank you. Your next petition this morning is 4591. Brian Lunshow Farm Trust requests rezoning from F District Farming to F1 District Farming to allow the existing home to be sold off from the farmland. Here it is on the 2040 plan. You can see it's an area planned for agriculture. It's just to the west and north of the village of Burlington. Here it is on the zoning map. You can see it's all zoned F district farming with a few other F1s along Burlington Road going up towards the northwest. Here it is on an aerial. You can see it is an area predominantly farmed. Here you can see it is one of two existing homes on this stretch of Burlington Road, pretty tightly defined yard area with some trees and then the rest in farmland. Here's another close-up of the property. Here's the survey for the rezoning. Again, noting this will allow the house to be sold off separately from the farmland. Staff recommendation for stipulations, Water Resources has their, this larger farm site contains significant amount of floodplain. No home is proposed at this time. In the future, if a home is built, the elevation of the first floor would be determined by the base flood elevation, elevation, the seasonal high water table. They also had their typical stipulation that if there's more than so many square feet of impervious area added, they would all fall under their review under the stormwater ordinance. The rezoning will allow the existing home to be sold off separately from the farmland. Not applicable for the Regional Planning Commission. Zoning Board of Appeals recommended approval with the recommended staff stipulations. It's before you this morning.
Yes, hi, Barb. I'm trying to get a hold of, I think.
May we please have a motion?
Roz
Well-
moves.
Mr.
Second,
I'll pick Ford.
okay.
Ford moves. Ms. Winnicky seconds. Do we have comments or questions? Hearing none, clerk, please call the roll.
Berman,
Berman, yes.
Brown,
Brown, yes.
Ford,
Ford, yes.
Iqbal,
Iqbal, yes.
Kenyon,
Yes.
Woniki,
Yes.
Braz,
Yes.
Caius,
Yes.
Martin.
Martin, yes. Motion carries. Item C, Mr. Van Kirkhoff.
Okay, also this morning, we have a minor variance to the approved site plan as part of the special use that's been granted to the MA Center. The zoning ordinance for special uses provides that if there are minor variations in the approved site plan for the special use, that you as the development committee have the authority to review and make those approvals for minor variations, as opposed to going back through a whole public hearing process and full board vote. The MA Center has requested use of that provision. We have provided the adjacent property owners and those within 250 feet notice of their request for minor variation. This morning, we haven't received any comments or concerns regarding those. I will go through the presentation, but at the end, you can you can take a vote to either approve or deny the requested variance, or you also have the ability to send it back to the zoning board for a full public hearing if you deem appropriate as well. So those are the options at the end of this. So they're requesting minor variations to their special use site plan, particularly to the portion related to the housing units layout. They want to make a few adjustments to the housing layout and type of units and locations of some of the units now that they've begun constructing and developing that portion of it. So for those of you who aren't familiar with the site, this is a development that had, or site that had originally been developed back in the 60s, known as Broadview Academy. It was a boarding school and summer gathering site for the Seventh-day Adventist denomination. A number of years ago, it was purchased by the MA Center, and they have gotten their own special use for the property and have had some other adjustments to it in the past. This is where it's located in Kesslinger Road. It's just it's surrounded by the King County Forest Preserve District. Here it is on the zoning map indicating the special use over the entire site. Here it is on aerial. Most of the campus is in the south portion of the property. Here's more of a close-up. So this is the currently approved site plan. If you look kind of in the middle of the site plan, there's a circle number 1, indicates an area of the housing that had been approved. Some of the, just to the south of that ring road, there's some also indicated as housing. You can see on the pattern on that there those units were proposed without any garages. They're going to have separate parking and kind of walk up to those smaller units. That's the area in which they're proposing to change. Most specifically, here's a close-up of that. Again, you can see the housing in that center portion. So what they're proposing will not change the number or the density of the housing units, rather than have that one section entirely be walk-up housing units. They now want to do 8 of those units, 4 buildings to have attached garages. And then addition, 2 of the units would be off of a existing gravel part of the roadway on the western portion of that. And then they still would have 6 units that would be smaller walk-up units that are indicated with the letter C on this site plan. In exchange for the change in that section, there's 2 other locations where they had on the original site plan proposed connected duplex units that they will not be constructing. And that'll keep the number of total number of units the same. So we felt as a staff that it was appropriate to have them go through the minor variance process just to document and have the committee's concurrence and approval on the change in the layout and types of units, some of them, more of them having an attached garage. And with that, there is a representative from the MA Center, Sangeeta, here, if there's any additional questions that you might have for staff or that they might be able to answer. So again, you as the development committee have the authority to approve or deny or remand this petition or application.
Well, as Mr. Van Kerkhoff indicated, it's our prerogative to go one of 3 directions. I'm going to suggest a motion to approve. But
I'll move it.
it's yours. Barr
Right.
moves.
Fry seconds.
Mr. Fries seconds. Do we have comments or questions? Mr. Fries.
Yeah, this campus is in my district and I was fortunate to work very closely with the MA Center staff over the years. As Mark said, this was the former Broadview Academy. It was closed for many, many years. The buildings were falling apart, paint peeling, the infrastructure, it's got its own sewer and water system. The infrastructure was kind of going to seed. And it's just been so fun to watch the entire campus come back to life. The lights are back on and they've done an amazing job on fixing up the existing buildings, demoing some other buildings and building some new units. Everything that you see on that site plan is at least 1,000 feet off the nearest public road. And also, as Mark said, the entire campus is surrounded by King County Forest Preserve. So it's kind of like its own isolated little community back there. And they've always been a pleasure to work with, and they've always done what we've asked of them, and they've always done what they said they were going to do. So I wholeheartedly support it.
Anybody else? Yeah, I'd like to volunteer the same thing. Many times on my way out to Reams, I drive through this site and it's always fun to see how it matures and develops and what a great job is being done. So these changes are only minor and certainly beneficial in their mind to the continued health of the project. So I support it also. Anybody
Just a
else?
Quick comment,
Ms.
just a very,
Winicky?
they're a very welcoming community, wonderful. wonderful people. I know I've gone with Drew and his wife to some of the events there, and they've just been wonderful.
Well, great.
Can't say enough about it. Mhm.
Looks like this is going to be another tough vote. Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Berman,
Berman, yes.
Brown,
Brown, yes.
Ford,
Ford, yes.
Iqbal,
Iqbal, yes.
Kenyon,
Yes.
Winnicke,
Yes,
Braz, Caius,
Caius, yes.
Martin.
Martin, yes. Motion carries. Congratulations. Planning and special projects.
Okay, you have in your packet the monthly report from the activities of our Planning and Projects Division of the Development Department, most of which are activities that get reported to either Jobs Committee or Energy and Environmental or Agriculture Committee. This morning, I do have one item that I want to point out that is an activity that is reported through this committee, and that's the work of our Historic Preservation Commission. And I've invited Julia Tavong, who's our Historic Preservation Planner. Julia, if you want to come on up to tell you a little bit about something the commission just did. It's in your packet. You also may have read about it in Kane County Connects. But part of the benefit of Kane County having historic preservation ordinance and commission and a professional staff person working with our landmark program is that we are under the state a certified local government. And it's because of our status as a certified local government that we were involved in reviewing a National Register nomination. So Julie, if you just want to say a little bit about that and the commission's response to the National Register nomination.
Sure. At their April 27th meeting, our Historic Preservation Commission reviewed the George Krigo Farm for designation as a National Register listed historic place. The Krigo Farm is in Blackberry Township. It's at 3S 584 Finley Road. It is just southwest of Illinois Route 47. And it demonstrates the surviving 19th century farm. This historic site is comprised of 257 acres and has 7 historic buildings. And our commission found that it met the criteria for National Register designation for being a settlement property from 1852 to 1855, and for its agriculture from 1855 to 1920, and also for its architecture. So as being part of a CLG, the Historic Preservation Commission gets to recommend or deny these designations. And if our commission had denied it, it would not move forward. So we're very happy that we have now our number 6 National Register of Historic Place for Kane County in unincorporated Kane County.
Thank you.
And that's all I have. If you want to, unless there's any other questions, just place the report on file at the end of the meeting.
Right.
Thank you.
Thank you. We have subdivisions now, 3 issues. Deanna's not with us today, and we have a novice presenting, and I would like you all therefore to be gentle with her as she proceeds.
Thank you, Mr. Martin. Okay. Are we good, Blair? Yep, thank you. All right, our first item is Deer Pond Woods. We had a few of these come through the committee in the last couple months. This is the combination of 4 lots into 2. So it includes the platification for the easements and dedication of new easements. Deer Pond Woods, again, is located in St. Charles Township off of Randall Road, south of Redgate. And just for additional information, we've included the parcel sizes. Once they're combined, lots 16 and 17 will create a 2.9 acre parcel, and lots 15 and 18 will combine into a 6.5 acre parcel. So this is again the location off of Randall Road. Here's the configuration of the existing lots. Again, we're looking at combining 16 and 17 and 18 and 15. So there is a access easement and utility easement between two of the lots that would have accessed that rear lot. So that would be the portion that would be vacated. In addition, we would be vacating the easements along the shared lot lines and creating new easements along the new lot lines. And for 15 and 18, those would be combined into one lot. Those lots do have a conservation easement and a drainage easement platted on them, and that would remain. However, we would be vacating the easements between those two lots as well. So staff has reviewed this plat of amendment. The amendment will not increase density or reduce open space. It's been agreed to by the adjoining neighbors and jurisdictional entities. The existing drainage easements for the pond, wetlands, and conservation easements will remain as platted. And if approved, the owners will then use the Plat Act to relocate the property line to the appropriate location. So the amendment has the support of staff. And the developer is here if there's any questions.
And we have a motion. Mr. Fries,
I'll move it.
second.
Berman, second.
Moves.
Mr. Berman, seconds. Mr. Fries.
It just, I'm very familiar with the subdivision and that they're already very, very large lots. So we're combining two lots into one in two different cases, I think here. So the density that was originally approved actually will be going down. So it's totally supported.
Anyone else? Seeing no one, will the clerk please call the roll?
Berman,
Berman, yes.
Brown,
Brown, yes.
Ford,
Ford, yes.
Iqbal,
Iqbal, yes.
Kenyon,
Yes.
Winnicki,
Yes.
Braz,
As yes.
Caius,
Dias, yes.
Martin.
Martin, yes. Motion carries. Win Oaks.
Our next one is Win Oaks Lot 2. This is located in Plato Township, Section 27. The lot size is 1 acre, and this would be adjusting the side yard setback along the south property line to 10 foot from 30 foot. This is the location of the lot. It's off of Lenz Road and Muirhead Road in Plato Township, next to the Tamara Heights subdivision. This is a close-up of the lot as it sits today with an existing home and a detached garage. This is the issue that caused this is there was originally when Plato Ridge subdivision was platted, it was intended that there was going to be a road that would go through off of Muirhead connecting to the property in the rear. However, as you can see in this one, that property was subdivided and the access is actually off of Lenz Road. So there's no need for that road to ever go through. And so, however, let me get the right thing here. However, that setback is placed such that it's like it's along a road right of way instead of a normal side yard setback. So this is the proposed addition that the owner wishes to develop. So the existing 30-foot setback being reduced to 10 foot would still allow an additional 10 foot between the edge of the home and the setback line. So staff recommends the approval of this amendment. The amendment doesn't increase density or reduce open space. The amendment has been agreed to by the adjoining neighbors and jurisdictional entities and has the support of staff.
We have a motion, please.
Motion to approve. Berman.
Ford, second.
Mr. Ford seconds, Mr. Berman moves. I have a question. How does this setback compare then with the other houses in the same area?
The 10-foot setback is consistent with the other homes in that area.
Okay. Other questions or comments? Hearing none, clerk, please call the roll.
Berman,
Berman, yes.
Brown,
Brown, yes.
Ford,
Ford, yes.
Iqbal,
Iqbal, yes.
Kenyon,
Yes.
Winnicki,
Yes.
Braz,
Yes.
Caius,
Dias, yes.
Martin.
Martin, yes. Motion carries. Oak Shadows.
Our final subdivision item is Oak Shadows. It's located in Campton Township, Section 12. The lot size would be 3.2 acres. And it's the request for the approval of a vacation of an access easement, rededication of a drainage and utility easement, and revised setbacks for the consolidated lots. So they are asking to consolidate lots 3 and 4. This is the location. It's just south of Silver Glen Road. It's at the end of a T intersection, basically at the end of Oak Shadows Lane. This is the current configuration of lot 3 and 4 that the owner wants to combine into a single lot. This is the plat of consolidation that shows the, there was only a single driveway that was platted for the access of both those lots. For the reason it's being consolidated, that's no longer required to have that access easement because it'll just be the one single owner. The setback lines adjacent to all the nearby residents are not changed. It was a 30-foot setback on the west side and a 25-foot setback on the north side, and those setback lines will remain with the consolidation. We are recommending approval of this consolidation. It doesn't increase the overall density of the PDUD. The adjustment doesn't decrease open space or affect the physical layout of the adjacent lots. And there's no impact to public health, safety, and general welfare. We do have a neighboring property in the audience that may want to speak on this matter.
May we have a motion first?
Wonnicke moves.
Ms. Wonnicke moves. Mr. Fry is seconded. Ma'am, you want to speak?
Yes.
Please offer your name and address.
Sure. My name is Iman Albazaz. I reside on 39W 600 Oak Shadows Lane, which is adjacent to the new 2 lots. And I have a couple comments, actually. We are in
Excuse
support.
me. I want to make sure we've got the geography straight. Where do you reside?
It's
in
the,
relation-
it's the home to the west of lot 3 on the.
Okay, thank you.
Sure. I reside on lot number 2, which is right next to it.
Okay.
So the question, we totally support combining lot 3 and 4 and the removal of the easements, and we welcome our new neighbor. In the drawing, we looked at it and it shows it number now lot number 1, which is lot number 1. It's already exists in the subdivision, which is one of the lots, the entrance of the subdivision. So I don't know why they number it as number 1, because number 1 is already exist.
We can adjust that in the plat when it comes through our office.
Okay.
So we
okay.
will make note of that.
Sure. And also the north setback should be set at 90 feet. So as not to allow building in the area where buildings were not previously allowed in the previous setting with the north setback. And now it's set to 25 feet on the north setback. So previously it's supposed to be at 90 and not to allow building.
Do you have a comment to that?
The setback lines, as we evaluated them, would remain the same. I would have to research to find out where the 90-foot is coming from. My understanding from Deanne is that the current setback on the north side is 25 feet and the west side is 30 feet, and those would remain the same.
Do we have a representative from the applicant present or online?
I have a comment. Fraz speaking on the site plan, the future site plan or proposed site plan. There's a pretty substantial setback on the north side there where it shows a building setback envelope and it's way over 25 feet. If I'm reading this correctly. where it says lot one there, that's in the middle of that building box, and that's got huge setbacks to the north.
Well, we're kind of operating whistling in the wind here, right? For having, I mean, I'm not contesting what you're saying. We just have no basis for moving this forward, and I'm not comfortable voting on it or suggesting we vote on it until we get this issue resolved. So I would entertain a motion to table this.
So moved.
Mr. Kenyon moves.
I'll second.
Ms. Wanicki, Mr. Wanicki, seconds.
Just a question, point of order, do we, tabling it to a location or just back
We
to
can, we
the
can,
This month.
next
I mean,
meeting?
we can take it off the table at the next meeting on assumption that the matter's been resolved.
If it's solved by the next meeting.
Yeah, so I think
So-
just
when's
table it
solution?
generally, and the hope would be that at the next meeting, we've got the issue addressed by the developer and our staff. So. Okay, the motion to table having been made, let me please call the roll.
Berman,
Berman, yes.
Brown,
Brown, yes.
Ford,
Ford, yes.
Iqbal,
Iqbal, yes.
Kenyon,
Yes.
Wonicky,
Yes.
Braz,
Yes.
Caius,
Caius, yes.
Martin.
Martin, yes. Motion carries. So the matter will be tabled, the presumption being that this issue can be resolved by our next meeting of this committee. And then it would, assuming that everything's, because I think everything else was pretty ordinary, but we just don't have a basis to address the issue you've raised in your presentation.
Actually, I obtained some documents, Miss Deanne Orlick. She printed out for me, and it shows the previous lot 3, the setback, and the north setback was at, the west side was at 60, and the east side was 90. It's already in there, and I have the document with me as well.
It needs to become part of the discussion.
Absolutely.
I guess is what I'm saying. So,
Yeah, we'll discuss. No problem.
all right, thank you.
So much.
That concludes subdivision activity. Is that correct, Ms. Walnick?
Yes.
Do we have anything relative to environmental resources or water resources? Okay, Mr. Berger.
Good morning, Chairman Martin. This is Scott, and we do have one item for you today. It's a resolution regarding our homeless management information system, which you might recall is the online database that is used by both our office and area social service agencies to help coordinate and track the needs of our homeless population. The resolution before you today authorizes a 12-month renewal of our contract with Pathways Community Network Institute. This is the firm that has provided support services to our system since 2016. For 2022, Pathways proposal is just over $46,000. And just a reminder, 100% of the cost of this contract is covered with federal funding from the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development. I'm happy to answer any questions at this time.
Thank you. May we please have a motion?
Caius move.
Mr. Caius moves,
Ford
Mr. Ford seconds. Do we have comments or questions of Mr. Berger? Hearing none. Clerk, please call the roll.
Berman,
Berman, yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Ford,
Ford, yes.
Iqbal,
Again, yeah, quit answering my phone.
Iqbal. Kenyon,
Yes.
Wonicky,
Yes.
Braz,
Raj, yes.
Caius,
Caius, yes.
Martin.
Martin, yes.
Carried.
Motion carries. Thank you, Scott.
Thank you.
Is there any new business to be brought before this august body? Seeing none,
I move to adjourn.
may we have please a motion to place our reports on file?
Right.
That's true.
Mr. Kenyon
Caius, second.
and Kyle seconds. Clerk, please call the roll.
Berman,
Berman, yes.
Brown,
Brown, yes.
Ford,
Got a question. Are we doing both of these together?
No, no, he's totally out of order.
I never know. That's not unusual.
Mr. Iqbal,
Yes.
Kenyon,
Yes.
Wonicky,
Yes.
Braz,
Raj, yes.
Caius,
Caius, yes.
Martin.
Martin, yes. The reports are on file. Mr. Kenyon, do you have inclination to make a motion?
Go see our friend.
We have a motion and a second to adjourn this meeting. All in favor of adjournment signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. The meeting is adjourned.